Have you ever brought something home thinking, this'll protect us, this'll keep bad energy away? That was me. And probably half the people I know. We hang charms. We light candles. We put things on shelves like we're quietly building a fortress. But here's the twist. Sometimes what we believe is good protection is actually blocking the very luck, flow, and money we've been trying to invite. In Feng Shui, energy doesn't care about good intentions if the placement is wrong. It just responds. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I said yes to a sweet little evil eye gift, my niece brought back from her trip to Greece. It was blue, it was glossy, it was for protection. But something changed. Subtle at first. Conversations got tenser. The house felt colder. Business slowed. People started backing out of things. At first I thought, maybe it's just the economy, maybe it's just stress. But then my old neighbor, who's Greek by the way, looked at it and said, "Do you know what that's actually for?" And the whole thing unraveled. This video isn't about being afraid of symbols. It's about seeing them clearly and understanding how Feng Shui works with energy, not superstition. Because what you place in your home is either helping your money flow or quietly blocking your wealth, luck, and emotional harmony. If this kind of wisdom speaks to you, if you've ever felt like things should be going better, but can't explain why, thank you for being here. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment below. It helps YouTube know you're part of this quiet shift. Now, let me tell you what happened. Starting with a charm that was meant to protect, but ended up inviting something else entirely. You can place something in your home out of love, but energy doesn't always receive it with the same warmth. It started as a gift. A small, shiny, deep blue evil eye charm tied with a ribbon in a hand-painted box. Jessica's niece brought it back from her honeymoon in Santorini. She meant well. It was for protection, she said. Something to guard the house, keep energy clean, keep bad luck away. And Jessica? She loved it. It was cute, decorative, cultural, and it came from family with intention. So she hung it in her living room window, right above the sill where the light hit it around 4 p.m. every day. But over the next few weeks, the house didn't feel brighter. It felt heavier. Like the warm welcome energy had slowly been swapped for something more tense. Not dark, exactly, just closed. Closed for business. Closed for connection. She couldn't name it, but she felt it. As if something had shifted quietly and politely, like a guest overstaying their stay. In Feng Shui, energy flows where attention goes. Symbols amplify that flow, but only if they're placed with balance, purpose, and right alignment. The evil eye isn't a bad symbol, but it's not a neutral one either. It's a strong, protective icon rooted in centuries of spiritual shielding. And when it's placed facing outward, like over a front door or gate, it helps bounce back negativity. But when it's placed instay, especially in the center of a home's energy flow, it can confuse or even block the natural qi. Instead of creating safety, it can accidentally tell energy, "This house is under threat, stay away." Which explains why Jessica's money flow slowed, her phone stopped ringing, and her space once filled with laughter started echoing with weird silence. Jessica's the kind of person who believes in peace. She lights candles. She blesses her space. She always wants people to feel safe in her home. So when things started going sideways, missed payments, cold calls, awkward tensions with neighbors, she blamed herself. She told her husband, "Maybe I've been too closed off lately." But the truth was, it wasn't her. It was the invisible message hanging from the window. That charm whispered a story the house kept echoing. "We're on guard. Don't come close." It's like putting a "beware of dog" sign on your front porch. But you don't own a dog. At first, it feels smart, proactive. But after a while, no one knocks. No one visits. Even the mail feels late. In Feng Shui, your house speaks. Loudly, softly, constantly. And that little symbol was sending a message Jessica never meant to send. The message wasn't "protect our peace." It was "keep your distance." Jessica didn't Google this. It was her neighbor Dimitri, who'd lived in Greece for 30 years, who saw it and said, "Oh, that one? You don't put that inside the house, sweetheart. It's like setting a trap for energy." He explained it like this. Symbols work like road signs. Put them in the wrong place, and they confuse the traffic. Energy starts detouring. Money gets delayed. Luck reroutes. It's not magic. It's messaging. Jessica took a breath, opened her window, took down the charm, gently thanked it for its service, then moved it to a small table near her front entrance, facing out. She lit a white candle, said a quiet thank you to the niece who gifted it, and reset the intention with a whisper. This home is open. This home is safe. This home welcomes peace. Within days, she noticed the shift. Friends came by more often. Clients called. The house felt softer, like it could breathe again. Now every time someone visits and compliments the blue charm, Jessica laughs and says, "It's not evil, it just needed better feng shui directions." Then she tells them the truth. You can't just buy energy protection. You have to place it with purpose. And when they ask where she learned that, she always says the same thing. From my Greek neighbor and my feng shui mistakes. Best teachers I've ever had. You can't layer protection, abundance, healing, and love in one small corner and expect it to flow. Energy doesn't stack like books. It moves like breath. After moving the evil eye to the entryway, Jessica felt the house lighten a bit. So she got excited. She thought, what if we added more energy boosters? She walked over to the little shelf by the hallway and began filling it with good luck symbols. A money frog, a rose quartz heart, a tiny laughing Buddha from her sister's trip to Thailand, some sage bundles, a miniature golden cat she found at a garage sale. At one point, she even placed a folded $2 bill behind them, just to charge up the wealth. The shelf looked cute, like a spiritual buffet. But within a few days, the vibe turned strange. Light headaches, cluttered thoughts. She forgot to send an invoice, missed a client call, and every time she passed that shelf, she felt like something was too much but couldn't say what. There was energy, yes, but it wasn't lucky. It was loud. In Feng Shui, every symbol speaks a language. Each one carries a frequency, a type of message to the environment. The problem? Jessica had placed too many voices in one spot. Each symbol was asking for attention. Each one pulled energy in a different direction. Wealth wants flow. Peace wants stillness. Protection wants awareness. Love wants softness. And when all of those energies are shoved into one tight shelf, it creates chaos, not clarity. It's like trying to meditate in a room full of motivational speakers. Everything sounds inspiring, but your mind can't breathe. Jessica wasn't inviting lucky energy anymore. She was overcrowding the entry point, the very space where cash flow and clarity begin. Jessica's a collector of meaning. Every symbol, every item has a story. She didn't put those things there for show. She believed they would help. That together, they'd amplify her intentions. But deep down, she started feeling off balance. Like she was trying too hard to fix things. As if she was forcing luck, instead of creating space for it. It's the kind of guilt that sneaks up quietly. Like you've been doing everything right, but still end up overwhelmed and out of sync. Imagine standing in your kitchen and turning on every appliance at the same time. Blender, toaster, microwave, dishwasher, and vacuum. Sure, they all work. But now there's a hum, a buzz, a vibration that drowns out peace. That's what Jessica built. A shelf where too many energies collided. Instead of cooperated, the shelf was full, but the room felt empty. Her friend Clara told her, "Symbols are like herbs. Too many at once and they cancel each other out. Or worse, mess with your system." Jessica looked it up later. Turns out, in Feng Shui, every placement needs intention, purpose, and space. You don't energize your home by stacking good luck charms. You energize it by choosing what fits the space and giving each symbol room to breathe. Energy follows clarity, and too much of a good thing can jam the signal. Jessica spent the next morning with coffee in one hand and a small donation box in the other. She thanked each item as she packed it up. She kept only 3. One for peace, one for flow, one for quiet wealth. The shelf looked simpler, but the hallway felt wider. She placed a small crystal bowl of clean water beneath it, added a fresh eucalyptus sprig, and whispered, "Let this corner breathe. Let this house flow." Jessica laughs now when she talks about the shelf era. She calls it her spiritual hoarding phase. And if you're watching this thinking, "Wait, my shelf looks kinda like that," you're not alone. We've all done itching good energy, but crowding the very space it needs to land. And if this part hits home, maybe like, subscribe, or even drop a comment below. Because sometimes it just takes one sentence, one shift, one shelf reset to let energy move again. In Feng Shui, clarity is more powerful than cluttered intention. You don't always need more luck. Sometimes you just need to stop reflecting what blocks it. It was meant to expand energy. That's what the internet said. Jessica had read that mirrors attract wealth in Feng Shui, and that placing one near the front door could double your money flow. She didn't question it. She just found a pretty own-round, brass frame, vintage style, and hung it near the entrance across from the hallway. For the first 2 days, she felt optimistic. The entryway seemed brighter. The mirror reflected some sunlight from the side window. But by the end of the week, things felt oddly noise-energetically. Arguments got sharper. The dogs barked more. Jessica found herself forgetting things keys, meetings, groceries. And the weirdest part? The money coming in left just as fast. It was like her bank account became a revolving door. Feng Shui mirrors are powerful. They're considered energy amplifiers. They don't just reflect objects, they reflect flow. So if you place a mirror across from your front door, what happens? You bounce energy right back out. It enters, sees itself, and turns around, including the energy of wealth, including the vibe of calm, including all the intentions you set at that door. Jessica had unknowingly built an energy boomerang, and every bit of lucky flow she tried to welcome was getting rejected on entry. Jessica's always been the kind of person who tries to do it right. She reads. She researches. She implements. She's not trying to be fancy. She just wants her home to feel aligned. So when things started falling apart, tiny missteps, mental fog, missing invoices, she didn't blame the mirror. She blamed herself for not managing time, for being disorganized, for losing focus. But deep down, she knew something was out of sync. Like her effort was pushing energy uphill, and the wind just kept blowing it back. It's like standing at the airport gate, waving your boarding pass, while a big fan keeps pushing you away from the door. You've got the ticket. You're ready. But you're not getting on the plane. That mirror by the front door was acting like a fan. It wasn't opening luck. It was creating resistance. Later, during a lunch with her friend Clara, who casually studies Feng Shui, Jessica finally asked about it. Clara pulled out her phone and showed her something simple. Mirrors by the front door reflect qi. And in Feng Shui, the front entrance is the mouth of energy. It's where new flow enters. So if a mirror reflects it before it moves in, it goes away. Like water hitting glass. That's why Jessica's money felt temporary. That's why good news kept turning into nothing. It wasn't her mindset. It was the architecture of energy being misdirected. She took down the mirror that evening. Carefully, gently. Then she cleaned the space with a warm eucalyptus cloth. In its place, she added a small wooden sign with the word "Welcome" and a simple round bowl with 3 coins and fresh rosemary. She opened the front door, let in a breeze, and said quietly to herself, "Let what comes in stay. Let what grows root." The next few days felt calmer, more focused, like things finally landed in her home. Jessica calls it her return to sender phase now. The time she accidentally bounced wealth right back into the universe. She jokes that it was the most expensive mirror she never returned. And every time someone brings up Feng Shui tips, she says, "Don't just place for looks, place for flow." Even a mirror can shut the door if it's not facing the right way. When energy gets stale, it doesn't make a mess. It just makes everything too quiet. Jessica had one spot in the house she always thought was good. It was her little sacred nook. A small table under the staircase, with a candle, a tiny plant, and a framed quote that read, "Abundance begins in stillness." That space had once felt peaceful, but over time it went untouched. She'd light the candle less and less. The plant turned yellow. The air felt dry. She didn't notice it at first. Life just felt slower. Emails took longer to reply to. Decisions dragged. Cash flow thinned quietly, subtly, like sand slipping out of a half-tied pouch. And right there, next to the untouched quote and melted wax, was an old evil eye bracelet that someone gave her years ago. Still sitting there, still protecting. But protection without purpose becomes resistance. And in Feng Shui, that's exactly what it was doing. Every space in a home breathes energy. If you stop tending to it, the energy doesn't just stay neutral, it stagnates. Jessica's sacred corner had become a pocket of silent block. The dead plant, the melted candle, the dust on the framed quote. Each item became a symbol of paused movement. And that old bracelet, originally meant to shield her, was now trapping whatever little flow remained in that space. Because in Feng Shui, protective symbols without renewal can hold on to outdated energy and hold back everything else with it. Wealth stopped expanding. Luck stopped landing. Everything felt stuck, but neat. Jessica's always been the type who creates meaning. She doesn't decoratease, curates. That corner was supposed to be her quiet reset, but instead, it became a place that reminded her of everything she was no longer doing. And when money got tight, when projects fell through, and motivation slipped, she didn't blame the corner. She blamed herself for losing momentum, for being scattered, for forgetting her routines. But it wasn't just her. It was the energy of a space that had quietly closed its own loop. It's like setting your intentions in a notebook, then never opening it again, and wondering why nothing's changing. The space didn't argue. It didn't break anything. It just whispered, "We're done here." Jessica was still living in that house, but that corner had already checked out. One morning, while listening to a Feng Shui podcast, she heard a line that clicked. Energy expires without interaction. It made sense. Even in Feng Shui, symbols don't self-renew. They need touch, movement, intention. A candle becomes clutter when it's never lit. A charm becomes noise when it's forgotten. And a corner becomes a block when the space stops being part of the flow. Jessica realized her energy wasn't stale. Her environment was holding her in pause. She cleared the entire nook, took everything off the table, washed the surface with orange-infused water, let sunlight hit the wall for the first time in months. She planted a new small ivy, added a clear quartz, placed a bowl of fresh coins next to a new handwritten note. Wealth breathes where energy is alive. No more old symbols. No more forgotten corners. Only spaces that matched where she was going. That night, she slept easier. And in the days after, 2 clients she thought were gone suddenly reached back out. Now she calls that space her energy reboot station. And every time she waters that ivy, she chuckles and says, "Sorry for letting it go stale. We're back in business now." She tells her friends, "If your money's been dragging or your vibe's been flat, check your corners. Sometimes your wealth isn't blocked. It's just bored." In Feng Shui, even the quiet corners speak, especially when we stop listening. Sometimes it's not the symbol itself that blocks your luck. It's the story it's still holding for you. There was one last thing Jessica hadn't thought about. A ceramic evil eye tile. Not hung, not displayed. Just resting quietly on the bookshelf behind her desk. She didn't put it there with intention. It ended up there the way most things do. Forgotten gifts, travel souvenirs, old maybe I'll use this later items. That tile had come from her cousin, someone she hadn't spoken to in years. Someone who used to call just to vent. Someone who had once said, "I thought you'd need this to keep people's bad vibes off you." Jessica never questioned it. But the energy of that sentence? It lived on in the object. And for months, every time she sat down to work, to write proposals, send invoices, call clients, that tile sat right behind her. Not in front. Not in a corner. Directly in her backspace. And everything behind you in Feng Shui either supports you or holds your weight. In Feng Shui, the space behind you is sacred. It's your energetic spine. It tells the universe what you're allowing to back you up. That's why headboards matter. That's why open space behind work chairs can feel unstable. Jessica's evil eye tile placed without thought was sitting exactly where support should have been. But instead of anchoring her, it was silently holding a story of fear and emotional baggage. Protection without love turns heavy. And energy behind you, if it's unresolved, creates invisible drag on your work, your confidence, your flow of money and new opportunity. No wonder her plans kept stalling. No wonder she felt resistance when pitching her ideas. The energy had been carrying someone else's weight, right at her back. Jessica's always had a generous heart. She holds on to things because they came from people who once mattered. Even when those relationships faded. Even when those gifts felt off. Because somewhere inside, letting go of the object feels like letting go of the person. But the truth is, some symbols carry the weight of who gave them. And if the energy behind the gift came from fear, guilt, or old wounds, then that energy is what stays behind in your space. And when it sits behind you, you don't just feel blocked. You feel tired, second-guessing, slow to move forward. It's like having a voice whispering, "Watch out." When all you're trying to do is grow. Imagine sitting down to type a letter of hope, but someone quietly tapes a warning sign on your back. You can't see it, but everyone else feels it. That tile was her warning sign. It didn't scream. It just muted the momentum. Jessica finally made the connection. After rewatching a Feng Shui video on workspace energy, the host talked about the power of intentional backing. How what sits behind you directly impacts your energy to push forward. If it's clean, grounded, clear, it supports. If it's loaded with fear or stale emotion, it resists. It's not woo-woo. It's energy physics. Your nervous system reacts to space, even when your mind doesn't notice it. And her nervous system? It had been leaning away from that shelf for months. She picked up the tile finally and held it in both hands. No anger. No rush. Just a silent thank you to the person it came from. And a deeper thank you for the lesson. She wrapped it in natural cloth and placed it in her release box, a space she created for things that no longer serve her current energy. Then she reset the shelf. A small framed photo of her parents smiling, a gold-painted stone with the word courage, and one bamboo wind chime symbol of growth and flow, resting quietly behind her desk. That week, she finished a proposal she'd been putting off for 3 months. Now, whenever she's on Zoom calls, People keep commenting on her new shelf vibe, and she just grins. Same shelf, she always says. Different energy. Then she'll wink and add, if something's been quietly weighing you down, check what's behind you. Your energy might be doing the heavy lifting for something you didn't even mean to carry. In Feng Shui, the things you don't see still shape the direction you move. It's funny, isn't it? We fill our homes with symbols, hoping to guard peace, invite money, anchor our energy in something good. But Feng Shui isn't just about what we place. It's about what we allow to stay. Jessica didn't do anything wrong. She did what most of us do. Trusted what looked meaningful, without checking if it still supported the flow she was trying to build. The truth is, wealth doesn't arrive in a room full of silent resistance. It shows up in space that's clear, aligned, and alive. So if your cash flow's been weird, if lucky breaks keep skipping you, if your home feels quiet but not in a good way, maybe it's time to walk around and ask every object, are you helping or holding me? The answer might surprise you. Jessica's journey isn't over. Some symbols look sweet. Some symbols feel blessed. And some are hiding energy stories we haven't even uncovered yet. We'll explore more of that in the next part of this playlist. Until then, may your energy stay honest, your space stay light, and your money flow without confusion. Your space speaks. Wisdom listens.